Hi, Warren Taro, the tax strategist. Hey, few things to talk to you about. One is it is safe to go ahead and file your taxes now. Remember I said don't? Well, now it's safe to. I'm going to take a little bit of credit for this. I don't think if I hadn't posted all that stuff and did all that work to notify you all not to file your taxes yet, then the IRS probably wouldn't have reacted. So you're welcome for at least getting the IRS to make a decision, and it's not a bad decision. But here we are, right? I'm going to tell you some details about it, but I thought I'd tell you right off the bat, it's safe. You can go ahead and file your taxes even if you did get a stimulus check from your state. There's some details. Some states are good, some states not so good. So if you want to hear the details, you're going to have to listen to this whole thing. And here we are this time of the year, right? It's driving through traffic to get to work today for because the Phoenix Open's going on. Super Bowl weekend. IRS is making retroactive tax changes. Can only mean one thing. It's tax season. And with it being tax season, that can only mean one thing. It's time again for our tax season weekend updates. We'll try to do this every weekend, give you an update of all the things that are going on, try to make it entertaining. And if nothing else, I get to take a little break from working on the weekend to do this, which is way more fun than doing taxes. Anyway, we need to start this off right. And by determining what we want to do for the background. I had two options, and so I thought I'd just leave it up to you guys to decide what we should do with those. And here is option number one. Now let's look at option number two. Option number two. Now it's your turn to vote. Here we go. Is it going to be option number one? Okay. Option number two? That's not the results I would have expected. Oh well. Option number two it is. Okay, now that we got that important detail done, you can see right here, we went with your choice. That's what else are we going to do, right? Now some less important stuff, tax stuff, right? The IRS just came out with a decision on whether or not the state stimulus payments that some people received, I think there's about 16, maybe 20 states-ish that had some form of stimulus that they gave, mostly due to COVID in 2022. This is we're not talking about the federal stimulus package. There was no stimulus in 2022 federal. Some of you might have gotten it because of tax, but anyway, we're only talking about the states and these 20 states in particular. We'll go through and show you what those are here in a second. So the IRS was trying to determine whether or not these payments should be taxable or not. And technically, by the law, they should be taxable. And we mostly assumed that they would tax it. But the IRS came out with either late last night or earlier this morning saying that they're going to use a clause called the efficient tax policy management. So to make tax policy more efficient, they're choosing to not tax that. Woohoo, right? So if you did get state stimulus payments, they are not going to be taxed in most states. In most states, not all of them. Some states you're going to be taxed on. So let's take a look at those states that you are not going to be taxed on. And remember, not every state did this. Only about 20 of them had them. If you never got anything, then you don't even need to worry about it. But in those 20 states, here's what we have. Maybe I will read them. Alaska, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Maine, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Rhode Island. These states gave you stimulus payments. Some of you, maybe some of you didn't qualify if you're a resident in these states. You got stimulus payments that you received in 2022. And after IRS's careful consideration, and don't forget me, Warren Tarl, the tax strategist, putting this out on social media, wondering if we needed to do anything or not, and telling you to hold off, I think that was just the pressure the IRS needed to go ahead and decide they're not going to tax these stimulus payments from these states. So if you live in these states, you got to check. You do not need to pay tax on that. If you are in one of these states, Georgia, Massachusetts, South Carolina, I could say Massachusetts. I guess I can't say Massachusetts. Georgia, Massachusetts, South Carolina, and Virginia, and you got stimulus payments from these states in 2022, they possibly are taxable. The IRS said that these payments look like they are tax refunds, and state tax refunds are normally included in income if you got a benefit from it. I'm not going to go through and explain all that. It's a little bit complicated. Rest assured, we have it. We can take care of it. But these states are the unlucky states. Now, if your state wasn't mentioned in any of these at all, then I don't know if that means you're lucky or unlucky, but that means your state did not give stimulus payments in 2022. We don't even need to think about it. Those of you guys who really love this image, I do too. It's kind of cool, I think. I don't know. But if you really like this image, don't worry. It's not going anywhere. We're going to probably use it, at least a half a dozen more times this year, because if this year's anything like the past few years have been, the IRS is going to be making even more retroactive changes while we're still trying to file your tax returns for 2022. Now that it's 2023, that doesn't stop them from changing the rules for what they were back then. So be on the lookout for this sign, and that means yet another change has come, and why not? Well, that should wrap it up for this session of Tax Season Weekend Update, week number 1. It's in the books. See you next week, and until then, taxes, am I right?